Can we sit back here?
Is there a certain spot?
You sit there, You won't be allowed in the room
Okay.
unless you're called as a witness.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Door shut.
Yeah, thank you. All right, this is case number 10-T-19 in which the petitioner is Jessica Pruitt. And ma'am, are you Jessica Pruitt?
Yes.
All right, sir, and are you Eric R. Pruitt?
Eric T. Pruitt. Eric T. Pruitt.
Eric T. Pruitt?
Yeah.
All right, and both of you raise your right hand. Did you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Sure do. Yes.
All right. This matter has been noticed as a final divorce hearing today. Is it the understanding of the parties this is to be a final divorce hearing?
Yeah.
If possible, yeah.
All right. Is it also the understanding you all have everything agreed to between the two of you?
We haven't formally discussed the custody.
Okay.
We
I filed a parenting plan. I don't think we were going to try to come up with an agreed one, and weren't able to. And then, so I went ahead and filed the one that I did, and I
Okay.
don't think he filed one.
I need to look at the one that she filed to see if it's agreeable, and if it is, then I'd agree to that. If there's any changes, then we can.
Yeah, basically, my issue right now is overnight visits with him because of his condition of his house that he has right now in Pennsylvania. It's not really suitable to live in, especially for a toddler. But I'm willing to modify our visitation later on when he shows that he can have a suitable place to live.
Yeah, I just bought a house after she moved to West Virginia. I bought a house for $1, basically. It was from a guy that didn't want the problems associated with cleaning it out and renovating it. He was renting the house, so that's why I got it for $1. And I've been working for the past 5 months on it, and I've got about 30 more days before it's going to be safe and inhabitable for him to be able to come over. So I need about 30 days to finish the rehabilitation of the house. I'm putting in all new drywall, new plumbing, new electric. I'm doing all the work myself, so it's the expenses quite low. But I'm going to need about 30 days to be able to have him over.
I don't know if I agree with that, but
Yeah, she hasn't seen the house for 6 months.
Well, let's do this. Let's have and this is just be common what a lot of cases have. Let's do a preliminary hearing, which means that you all will be back here in about 6 weeks for a final hearing.
Well, that's good.
And as a preliminary matter, I think what you're telling me, Mr. Pruitt, is that Mrs. Pruitt's probably correct now, but in 30 days you might have the situation rectified.
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you all some questions. Do you all own any real estate together? Okay, no real estate. Have you separated all of your personal property? That would be everything from cars down to your clothes.
I still have a van. He sold our washer and dryer without telling me.
What van do you have?
It's a 9. I don't drive it. It's sitting in my garage. It's
Okay.
a 96 Mercury Villager. I purchased a car after moving here.
My mom bought.
Yeah, she bought the van, but
the
it's in
van
my
for
name
us.
only. But it was bought during our marriage.
Okay.
He doesn't have a license.
Yeah, I've been driven for
Okay.
10 years. I don't.
But everything else, I don't have anything else of yours.
Just the red bicycle. I have her bike wheels, and she has my wheels on she has a
Okay.
bicycle.
Do you have any trouble getting that back to him?
Well, no, but it was supposed to be mine because he sold mine. So that's why I have the red bike, because you sold my blue bike. But I'm not.
I'll put your wheels on and give it back to you if that works for you.
Yeah, you can have the wheels.
Okay, because I might have to use it to get back.
I don't get to ride it anyway. I haven't.
Okay. Okay, so he would get the red bike back. All right. Is there any current debt that we need to take care of?
There,
current credit cards or a card payment or something like that. I mean, there might be some
the IRS is trying to come after us for something that wasn't filed correctly. I filed injured spouse both years though, so I don't know if that's something that needs to be addressed here.
Yeah, I have that paperwork, and I have some questions about that. I wanted to ask you. We have a gas bill and an electric bill from living together that kind of needs to be worked out too.
Yeah, but I paid all of the rent, and you didn't pay anything. That was your responsibility. I paid all the bills, except you never helped pay.
I have the receipts.
Yeah, and I have the receipts from paying the
That's
rent.
okay. What else? That's all I could think of.
And a lot of,
Are you employed, Mrs. Crook?
Yes.
Where are you employed?
My employer is the Children's Home Society of West Virginia, but I am the truancy worker for Van Deventer Middle School.
What is your salary or hourly rate of pay?
$21,500 a year. I have. I also am receiving benefits at the moment from the DHR.
Are you employed, Mr. Pruitt?
Yes, I am.
Where are you employed?
I work for John Ejos, the BFG Corporation. They're opening a restaurant, the BFG Cafe, and I'm doing some welding for him. Right now I'm repairing some steps, and then he's offered me a job in the cafe when the cafe opens in 3 weeks.
What is your salary or hourly rate of pay?
It comes out to about $8 to $10 an hour.
Are they taxing it, or are you working under the table? Because normally he always works under the table.
I haven't worked that out with him yet. He hasn't opened the cafe, so when he does open the cafe, then we're going to do the formal thing. We'll just do
$8 an hour for a 40-hour work week. Do either of you have health insurance that covers the child at the present time?
He gets the medical card.
Okay. Mrs. Crook, do you have any other children?
No.
Okay. Mr. Crook, do you have any other children?
No. And I'm working about 25 hours a week for him. I'm basically working full time to renovate the house so that I can make it ready for my son, for Noah to be able to come up there. I've put in a couple weeks of 20-hour days to get everything into shape.
Okay, the temporary child support would be $223.82. Mr. Pruitt, that would begin this month of August. It would begin August 1st. That's what you would owe in child support.
Okay. Are you going to give me something printed, or should I write this down?
I'm going to give you a temporary order.
Okay.
I can't print up here. I can print in Parkersburg, but I can't print here. Now, Ms. Critch, you had put in there a request for mediation.
I wanted the court to look at it because I didn't think we would be able to agree on things. I don't know if mediation would help, though. I'm just concerned about the safety of the child and transporting him back and forth. How that's going to happen with him not having a license or a vehicle or car seat. I work 40 hours a week. I have nowhere to stay if I go up there.
There was some discussion originally. What we'd worked out when she originally moved to West Virginia was that we would alternate. One, I would come down here for a weekend, spend a weekend with him, and then every other weekend, then she would come up to Pittsburgh for the weekend.
You were staying in an apartment at that time that
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
utilities.
And I'm more than willing to sell the house and move closer to Jessica. I understand she's in the long term. She's looking at moving to Morgantown, and I'm more than willing to relocate to Morgantown. I've contacted a real estate company there, and they have several properties that are in very low priced, need of repair, but within a price range that I could afford, and I could also afford a small apartment to be able to take care of my son. Morgantown's fairly close to halfway between both of us, and I know that she has a friend in Morgantown that she can stay with. So it might be, and it costs me $100 to take a bus down here, a Greyhound, and there's no service to the city, so I have to go to to Marietta. And then if I had to stay in a motel room, it would be something like $200. It's far more than my income would allow me to be able to do. But from Morgantown, it's $25 for a mountain line bus to come from Pittsburgh to
You still have to arrange a
Morgantown.
place to stay.
Right.
And plan it. That's another problem I've had with visitation. There's every time we've tried to plan a time, it falls through. And then last night he showed up at 9:30. I wanted to see him, and then wanted to see him before the hearing this morning. And I can't disrupt. He was asleep last night, and we were on our way to daycare this morning. I can't disrupt our day. We need to plan things out.
I haven't seen him in 2 months, and it's been a horrible experience for me. I'm desperately trying to get a solution to the problem, being a stable place to support him. I've been working incredibly hard and focusing all of my attention on getting the house that I bought into shape to be able to host him. I very much want to be a part of his life. I enjoy every aspect of taking care of him, and everything from feeding to teach, breeding to him and interacting with him. For the first 9 months that he was born, after the first month, for the next 8 months, I took care of him.
We moved when he was 6 months old, so and it was only 2 months because he was in daycare.
Well, I took care of. Okay, I'm fuzzy on. Okay, I took care of him while she was at work, and I enjoyed that very much.
You were kind of neglectful too, though.
I'm willing to adjust my schedule in whatever way that it's necessary to be able to spend time with him, to avoid the daycare situation, to be able to interact with him in whatever way I possibly could.
Well, both of you have raised some things that are concerned to the court here in this file. There was an order in Pittsburgh alleging Mrs. Cruitt had neglected the child.
No,
From a
he
court?
never filed anything. That was one of his tactics to try to keep me in Pennsylvania. trying to say I was abusive towards him, not the child, but it was never
But
filed.
you held a butcher knife up to him?
Yeah, that never happened.
One of my witnesses who wasn't able to come was she.
But you never filed this with the court. This was-
Punched me? He's filed copies with this court.
She's been extremely aggressive towards me, physically attacking me.
You've also alleged that she has a drug and alcohol problem, specifically cocaine and prescription drug use.
And I haven't seen her recently, but I know that she has. She was pushing my friends, including Tim, who was going to be here today, as a witness, to get cocaine and painkillers for both her and for her friend Emily, who lives in Morgantown, West Virginia. She has Crohn's disease, and I understand that, but she tried to get for that. Sorry, this is very difficult for me. I spent 2 months in an apartment that she rented, basically doing everything I could possibly do to survive it. Intimidation, aggression, angry outbursts, emotional rages. At one point, she blacked out and physically attacked me in front of 2 of my friends. One of them was going to be here today. I feel I've had to endure bottles being thrown at me. At one point, she was driving the car, and she had said that she wanted to drive the car into a telephone pole and kill me, herself, and my son. And I became incredibly fearful for myself. At one point, I called the battered women's shelter in Pittsburgh, trying to find somewhere to take refuge because I was worried about the safety of myself and my son. And they had told me that there was no rooms available for a man and a child, that I would have to go to a homeless shelter. So I didn't know what else to do, so I filed that paperwork. I filed for the PFA in the court in Pittsburgh, and the judge had mentioned that she believed that, from what it sounds like, that she had unaddressed postpartum, and that basically I couldn't even talk to the judge. I was crying. That could be confirmed from the judge if I believe she would remember. I've desperately wanted to see my son, but I've not been able to handle the fear of what had transpired, and that I felt that I had to take. There's no place here that in this city that I don't know anyone here, and I don't know. I don't have any place to go that I could have a neutral ground that I would feel safe in. I came down the last time that I came down for a visit. She'd gotten angry at me, and I basically had to leave. I became fearful about some of the things that she was saying, so I had to leave. So I basically had to ride a bicycle. I rode a bicycle back to Pittsburgh from St. Mary's. I stopped at the courthouse and talked to the clerk and kind of explained to them what happened. But I've never been in a situation where someone has been so aggressive towards me, and I've learned about MMS, malicious mother syndrome, and parental alienation syndrome, and all of the different aspects of problems that can occur. And I'm not applying any of that I'm saying that I'm aware of those things, and that I see some of those things that could possibly be those things, and I just want to. I love my son so much, and I haven't seen him in so long, and I mean, every day I took care of him. We would go for walks. I would take him over to the grocery store and get groceries, or take him to the coffee shop with me. And Pittsburgh's has a lot going on. There's places you can go that where there's families and there's people that have children, and you can. I have lots of friends, and they were horrified that I didn't have one. Like I spent 3 months of hell without not seeing my son, not interacting with my son, not having anything any way that I could feel safe about talking to him. She's been very aggressive towards me, and I feel safer now, but I was scared for a long time.
Okay. Mrs. Pruitt, you allege that Mr. Pruitt basically lives homeless and doesn't have a suitable place for the child. You want to elaborate on that?
Yes, and this is why I brought his mother as my witness, because she is a witness of how he has treated me and has been the abuser towards me. When I met him, he was squatting in a house, living in a house, not paying for it. I saw it as an interesting thing. He was an artist. I had my own apartment, didn't really see a problem there. I thought when we married, we'd get our own place. We got this garage-type apartment that was supposed to be a work-live space for a while, temporary. Then I got pregnant and realized, okay, this is not a suitable home. It was basically a garage, no kitchen, gross, there's hardly any light. He refused to move, refused to let me keep electricity turned on. I couldn't keep lights on. I was pregnant. I wasn't allowed to turn the heat on. It was so cold that my olive oil would freeze, because our agreement was that I would pay rent and he would pay utilities. Well, I wasn't allowed to use the utilities because he didn't want to pay the bills, basically. But basically a whole winter I had to sit back in my bedroom, in my bed, under blankets, because I was cold and I was pregnant. And then he would yell at me for sitting back there and watching TV. It got to the point where I was severely depressed and went into the hospital. I went to West Penn. They didn't put me in a psych hospital. They just put me in the maternity ward, but they kept me there for 2 days. Got me stabilized on anxiety medication. They started me on an antidepressant. And then they were going to let me go, and I was going to continue with therapy and to see a doctor after that. He wouldn't even come and get me out of the hospital that day. They wouldn't release me on my own because of the circumstances of why I was there. My friends from Morgantown had to come and get me and pick me up, and we went to the house, and he was just hanging out there with a friend. I packed my stuff, and I went and stayed in Morgantown for about a month and a half. I took a leave of absence from work. Mind you, this whole time I was the only one working and supporting our family. He was trying to start a business, but he has not had a job where he's paid taxes in, I would say, 10 years. He can't hold down a job. So when I got stabilized with the antidepressants, I decided to move back because I needed to keep my insurance because I was pregnant. So I went and moved back in until I had the baby, and as soon as I had Noah, I moved the next day back here to St. Mary's to be with my family for the summer. Until August of last year, I got my own apartment in Pittsburgh, close to where he was still staying, because it was I wanted to be close enough to where he could still see Noah, but not live together. Shortly after that, he closed down the shop, and I let him come and stay with me because I didn't want him to be homeless. He pretty much lived in my living room but didn't pay any of the bills. He did watch Noah for about a month and a half while I was waiting. I was on a waiting list for daycare. During that time, I would come home Noah would just be laying in a swing for I don't know how long. He would be dirty, wet. He never wanted to hold him to feed him. He would just prop a bottle up and kind of leave him there, which I was really upset about. I didn't want to leave him with him every day because I knew he wasn't getting the care. I had to go back to work early too for my maternity leave to pay the bills because he was not helping at all. So that was another issue why I couldn't get daycare right away. I had to go back to work early. So yeah, basically he had tried to force me to live like that, like he was used to. I stayed in Pittsburgh for 6 months, and it was just unbearable to live with him and the constant emotional abuse towards me. He would send me emails about Andrea Yates and these mothers who killed their children, tried to say that I was one of those mothers, tried to say I had postpartum all the time, whereas I was seeing a therapist and my midwife frequently, and they both said that I have no symptoms of postpartum. I tried to take him to counseling with me. He said that because it was my therapist, she was on my side, he didn't want to listen to anything she had to say. She recommended, she wanted to know if he had a history of mental illness, and I said yes, I believe he does. And that's another thing I would like is for him to have some kind of treatment, because he does have a history of bipolar. I mean, I have records of his past that I didn't know about prior to marrying him. I found out recently that it's scary. He's had felonious assault charges, drug charges. He's the one that has the history of these types of things, not me, but he tries to put it on to me and say that I'm the person that's doing these things. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Anyway, so I stayed until January of this year and decided to move back to St. Mary's to be close to family because I just couldn't take it anymore on my own. I was upset, and it was just really hard. My rent was like $750 a month. It's pretty much more than half of my paycheck. So I moved home, and he stayed with a friend until we got this house. And this house, since he's bought it, he has told me every month, it's, I just need 30 more days. I just need 30 more days. And the time I did go up there are windows missing. There's no electric, no water. He uses the bathroom in a bucket. There's holes in the floors. There's stairs missing. It's dirty. It's in a very bad neighborhood of Pittsburgh. Very bad neighborhood. It's just scary. Like, I didn't even want to be sitting in the house for the time that I was there, and I refused to go back. He's been down to West Virginia twice to see his son, and this last time that he's talking about when he left on his bike, Noah had pneumonia for a week, and it was like day 2 of him being really sick. And I was trying to take care of Noah, and Noah was crying, and meanwhile he's yelling at me, telling me I'm not doing it right, just like when I tried to breastfeed him. I didn't know what I was doing then, because when I tried to breastfeed, he was constantly telling me I didn't know what I was doing, that Noah wasn't hungry, and I was, I need to leave him alone. And so he started doing that again, and I told him, I said, please don't do this. I'm trying to take care of our son. He has a temperature of 103. I couldn't get it to go down. He wanted to pour ice water on him and take him outside to cool him down. I said, no, that's not how you bring a temperature down. So I asked him, I said, you need to leave my house, because I was letting him stay with me. That was the agreement, that he could come and stay with me so he could see his son, because I knew it was safe. But it was to the point where I couldn't let him stay there. So I asked him to leave, and he did. But I also contacted legal advocate that next day, because I thought about filing a restraining order against him, because I was so afraid that he was going to come back and try to take Noah, or because he's so erratic and irrational that you just don't know what he's going to do next. And he has a history of that. That's why I brought his mother. She's been a witness to it most of his life. My mother is here. She's witnessed it.
I've had a big problem with my being able to trust my mother's honesty. When we were living in the bike shop, I was attempting to buy a house near the bike shop before things started to go badly. And I found a house that I could have gotten for $500 that needed quite a bit of repairs, but that we could have gotten and used as a starter home to repair and then sell to buy a better home. And my mom came forward and said that she would co-sign on a loan for us. And that became, I told Jessica at the time not to trust my mother. I did not believe that she was honest. She was not going to come through with the house, and that it would cause a great deal of problems that basically I tried to help her to see that, to not trust her. My mother proceeded to reassure Jessica that she would buy us a house. So we began to look for a house. We spent the next 3 months looking for a house. We searched and searched. We found a house that was suitable, and then my mom, the realtor, and my mom both encouraged Jessica to put $1,000 down on the house. So she put $1,000 down on the house, and we were going to purchase it. At the last moment, and this is confirmed by the bank, the banker said that my mom sat down with the paperwork in front of her and refused to sign the paperwork. And so at that point, we became basically stuck in the garage where we were both living. I have receipts to show that I paid for, I paid rent to Richard Walters, attorney Richard Walters was the owned the building, and when I closed down the business, this is the business card. When I closed down the when I closed down the business, when Jessica moved out, it was part of an agreement with Richard Walters that he had about 6 months worth of work for me to do, converting the garage into a tango hall. He does tango classes, and part of his offices. His offices are on the main art gallery crawl area. So I basically worked for the next 3 months to convert the building into a tango hall, and that gave me income so that I was able to. So I did have income, and I was paying some money towards the rent. I could not afford $700. I was barely making $250 a week.
You refused to get a job too and help, and we had the money to move.
Look, I've got a pretty good handle on this. I mean, what you all have to understand, I'll end up believing both of you.
Right.
Okay? I am concerned about this child. Mr. Pruitt, you're 38 years old. Mm-hmm. Certainly you all aren't two 18-year-olds coming in here. Mrs. Pruitt is a college-educated woman with a responsible job supervising children, which I hope, because the history of Wood County in the last several years is we've had very little, just as an editorial comment, Ms. Pruitt, I'm not very satisfied with the status of the truancy cases in Wood County.
Mm-hmm. I just
I hope
started
that
in
you
April.
take over and you're the new person, but I don't know whether that's Children's Home Society. I mean, there's a long, it's too long a story for me to go into now, but certainly, I'll get cases in front of me where the children miss 25, 30 days. I'm like, what's going on? Mm-hmm. Certainly, and West Virginia now has a new law. We use that evidence in court, in family court, quite a bit. But anyway, at this time, I have to do a preliminary order. Of course, Ms. Pruitt, I'm going to grant you temporary custody of the child, and basically leave things as they are right now. Mr. Pruitt, okay, you talk a good talk. Maybe that has gotten you through life now. Now, we're going to see actions. Okay, if you don't have actions, then I'll know that this has just been your way of life, is to talk the talk. You're going to be. I'm going to order the parties in mediation. That might be somewhat of a hardship for Mr. Pruitt, but that'll be at my office in Parkersburg. There's two parts to mediation. There's screening with my case coordinator, Thomasina Deal. You might be able to do that by phone, Mr. Pruitt. Okay. The mediator will be a lady by the name of Mary Lou Hughes. Okay. You'd all go through the mediation, see what you can work out. If you come to an agreement, fine. If you don't come to an agreement, we come back here and see if you all have and the court can impose something. will listen even more extensively than what I did today. The evidence as far as witnesses and things go, pictures. I mean, Mr. Pruitt,
Yeah.
I would probably want to see a lot of pictures of this
The
house. Certainly, it is reasonable to expect, especially for a young child like this, that you would have a safe environment. A safe environment would be
Absolutely.
one that has utilities, that has heat, that has running water.
Absolutely.
That you would have food in the refrigerator, that you would have a refrigerator, that you would have a stove, where meals could be cooked. Certainly, that would be reasonable to expect. Of course, you are entitled to have a relationship with your child, and you should. But anyway, I'll give you all a copy of the order. What did you want to say?
At this point, we don't really have any solution between us on how we can do some sort of visitation. Do you have any idea on how we might be able to work out some kind of...
At this point, you all have to work it out on your own,
Yeah.
because you live so far away, and you don't have, even admitting yourself, you don't have a stable place. I don't feel comfortable myself awarding you any set visitation.
Right.
If you all can work something out, certainly Mrs. Pruitt would look better for you with the court if you do work something out with him where you don't hurt your child by the child not having any contact with Mr. Pruitt at all. If you all want to meet down here at McDonald's, of course the child's only 1 year old, you want to meet at a park here in Pleasant County, you certainly should do that.
And I've offered to meet in Morgantown.
And you should.
I'm absolutely agreeable to that.
I'm hesitant to order anything like that without any more specifics, but certainly it would look good to the court if you all was able to work something out where you did go to Morgantown. Certainly, there's a lot of places, there's a lot of nice parks in Morgantown. There's lots of, and certainly that
I
would be a
just
help.
want to be close by.
Okay, that's all I can do. I've got 2 more kids.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
If you all wait outside here, I'll give you a copy of the temporary order. Or we can go to the clerk.
I do think it's real about how horrible they are. They're so horrible. He's always.
Well, I have said, will you marry me? And that's pretty well the extent of it.
This is your choice. Obviously, had some redeeming